Hi, I'm Asa Good, Project Manager at the Center for Food and Agricultural Business and Manager of the 2010 ASTA Management Academy. Today we're going to give you a look inside the 2010 ASTA Academy by letting you hear from one of our instructors and several of the program participants. During this intense week, we have taken a deep dive into the marketplace drivers and the economy, and also the core functional business areas: sales and marketing, strategy, supply chain management, finance, and organizational leadership. One of our goals for the week was to have the participants examine and discuss these functions and how they are integrated and impact each other. I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Mike Bolje. He has long been a instructor for the Academy, and he teaches multiple times throughout the week. One of his main functions is the finance session, but he also introduces the group to those drivers that I just talked about.
Well, thank you, Asa. It was a real opportunity for me to work with the ASTA group again this year. I've always enjoyed working with the ASTA Management Academy, and we had the chance this year to share with them our perspective of the fundamental forces that are shaping that industry. And I'd like to just summarize that for you so you get a sense of the kind of things that we talk about at the ASTA Management Academy and how we try to use these ideas to help those participants make better decisions. So the first thing we talked about was what was happening in terms of the overall global business climate. Certainly our recovery from a recession is really, really important for the overall economy, for your business, but it's also important for the food and agricultural industries because that impacts consumer demand, that impacts global demand for nutrition products, and we are in a slow recovery mode, and so we need to kind of position our businesses to respond to a recovery, but not position ourselves to expect that we're going to have rapidly rising sales, at least in terms of the overall industry. The second thing that we talked about, oh, by the way, we also mentioned there that we need to also be cognizant of the fact that we're going to see interest rates rise during the next 12 to 24 months, and we need to be positioning our business for that, pardon me, that change in the business climate. We talked about globalization, and there's two elements of globalization that are really important. The first is that we see rapidly growing demand because of dietary transition. People who make more money typically want to eat higher protein, animal protein diets. And so we see in Asia particularly, China, India specifically, a very rapid increase in the demand for animal proteins, which grows the demand for feed grains fairly significantly as well. And those grains can come from lots of different places, but certainly the U.S. is a major supplier. North America is a major supplier of those feed grains. The other side of globalization, however, is increased competition in these markets. And we do see production in the rest of the world that is increasingly competing with the opportunities we have here in the U.S. And so that's why more and more companies like yours are becoming global in nature. Globalization is important, however, even if we're a regional company, because we have to worry about that global competition in our markets. The third thing we talked about was the increased volatility that we have in this industry. We have a lot of changes, not just in prices of corn and beans and the products that your farm customers produce, but their cost of inputs are also now more volatile. And then on top of that, they have volatility, what we call in the strategic risk area. So we have changes in policy. We have changes, as we've already suggested, in the business climate. We have changes in terms of the rules and regulations that your customers have to respond to, and you as a seed company have to respond to. So volatility is a significant part of the business climate as we think about the future of this industry. We talked about energy. Major driver of the demand for particularly the corn market has been the biofuels demand. We use about 1/3 of the corn crop now in that market. We expect that that market is going to continue to be a strong market, and it's supported. We discussed about with government policy, but we don't expect that government policy to change dramatically, and we're going to see biofuels continue to be a growing part of the demand. Although the rate of growth may slow down compared to what it has been, which means that we may not see quite as much uptick, for example, in corn prices at the farm gate as we have seen over the past 24 months. And then finally, we talked about the policy agenda. And the point we wanted to make with the group and the policy agenda, and it's one that we need to recognize, is that policy in agriculture, policy that impacts agriculture today, is much broader than just, quote, the Farm Bill and ag legislation. Immigration policy, environmental policy as in fact reflected by EPA rules, FDA policy on food safety, policy related to transportation. All of these policies are shaping the industry. In fact, much of the policy that shapes the agricultural industry is being driven by organizations and forces outside that industry. And so it's really important to understand what's going on in the broader business and political climate than just what's happening in the agricultural industry. So that's the kinds of things that we talked about. And then we put our teams or our participants into discussion formats to develop strategies and think about implications and take actions that might relate to their response to these policies.
My experience here at the ASTA Management Academy at Purdue has been a great one. Over the last 4 days, I've managed to meet some wonderful people and make some great relationships in the seed industry. But more than that, I've surprised myself in the things that I have learned. Several things that have stood out to me: supply chain management and finance have been two areas that I've really enjoyed participating in, learning more about. My company is a vertically integrated company. We have our own seed division that produces seed for our vegetable canneries. So we have a limited amount of competition, and I don't spend a great amount of time thinking about supply chain and how we need to best deliver our goods to our cannery customers. So in our discussions with Dr. Dooley on Wednesday, I was really surprised at what I had learned there, and the idea of looking at the cost of lost sale, not necessarily for our company against other competitors, but against ourselves. And that was a unique thought process there, and I think I'm going to take that back to my warehouse manager and the director of seed operations and talk about what we need to be doing to better position ourselves against ourselves rather than our competitors, and do a better job of servicing our customer.
The ASTA Management Academy has been really extraordinary event. I didn't really know what to anticipate coming into it, but I learned lots of different things that I'm going to be able to bring back to my team. One of the things that I learned was that the team should not be using all their energy and resources to go after the low-hanging fruit. We found out that only 15% of your sales are going to come from those customers who are easy to get but also easy to lose. So what you end up doing is getting into some bidding wars with your competitors when really you should be spending some of those resources to go after the customers that are more difficult to get, because once you actually have gotten them and they have your business, they're going to be loyal to you, and you're going to be getting 40% of your profit from them.
I think one of the most beneficial things I learned at the ASTA Management Academy was how to look at an issue from a different perspective. Coming from a sales and marketing background, I tend to look at issues a certain way. Here they really challenge us to put on our finance hat, our HR hat, our supply chain hat, and the R&D hat, and really look at that same issue but from their perspective. That way it gives us a better understanding of how the entire company looks at an issue and a better way we can solve it.
Yesterday was very engaging. The professors here that are part of this curriculum are unbelievably engaging and very dynamic speakers, and they really, really challenge you to spend some time thinking about things as you wouldn't normally do. It was wonderful. There was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of deep thought and discussion, trading ideas. And in the end, I come away with a better understanding of how finance not only helps our business, but in a way it drives our business. So that's something that I will also be taking back with me to my division and figuring out. There's a model that we discussed, the DuPont model, which I think will be very useful in helping to strengthen arguments for funding of different projects that we have currently on the table.
We in research think of the SWOT analysis, and we think of the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats of a compound that we might be bringing to the marketplace. But thinking with the sales and marketing in mind, we learned about the 5 Ps, and those being obviously the product that we're bringing to sales and marketing and how they're going to utilize that product, the pricing of the product, the place where it's going to have a fit, the promotion aspect of that product, what are the attributes, the uniqueness of that product, and how can sales and marketing take that and run with it. And then ultimately, the people that are involved in that process. The interface between research and then with the sales and marketing people, and promoting that product, helping bring the strengths, those weaknesses, and those opportunities, the threats to that sales and marketing people along with those 5 Ps. This is the message that I'll be taking back with me next week.
As I consider the takeaways that I brought from this training course, there are really 2 areas that were significant for me. One had to do with leadership and one had to do with strategy. The role that I have with my organization is often taking teams through strategy efforts. And oftentimes it's the tools that we use to bring teams through can get in the way of the actual content that you're trying to get from the team. We were provided a real simple tool, a 2x2 matrix, which on one axis says, do you have it? And on the other axis, do you want it? And depending on how you answer those 2 questions, for example, you can avoid something or achieve it or other actions that you might want to take. The other thing that was key to me was leadership and taking teams through challenging times. And one of the things that they really brought out was if you're going to lead a group through change, you need to have a grip on how you handle change in your own life. And if you can be real with yourself and identify those things, then in the end you're going to do a better job of leading others through change.
The Management Academy was an intensive week learning about the internal and external factors that affect both me and my business. The faculty here are very dynamic, teaching us about different aspects of our business, including sales and marketing, supply chain, finance, and strategic thinking. I now better understand some of the principles and factors that affect our business. And another great thing about the Academy was being able to discuss some of these insights with people from diverse backgrounds in the seed industry, different companies, and different areas within those companies. All in all, it was a great week. I'm ready to challenge myself, and I'm ready to implement.
Networking with the peers that have been here, my peers that have been here in the ASTA Management Academy has been wonderful. People that work in row crop and vegetable and grass seed production. I've met people literally from all over the U.S. and around the world. We have a couple of international participants here. And so this has been a great opportunity for me to visit with people in marketing, in breeding, in R&D. There are many people coming from different walks of life, but all with the common purpose and desire to improve our seed business, which is in the end a pretty small family. So that's been a great deal, and the faculty and staff here at Purdue have done an amazing job of making us feel at home in a family of sorts in a very short amount of time.